Anyway, let's crack on. We are going to use these white notes. I've decided that, and let's try and sort of get something out for the moment. So, just going to play around before I record anything. One thing I love on the piano is being able to sort of rock backwards and forwards between some notes. So. Now notice there I've played that idea that we've got slower. There's no reason why it can't be fast as well. Completely different feeling, same notes. So that's why just keeping it simple and just playing around can ultimately develop into something. Now let's see if I can record without the whole thing going kaput. Let's. How about lowering down here? So I'm going to keep this E here. If you keep a note on, it's known as, I believe, a pedal note. I think that comes from organ playing back in the day. But we could keep the E there constantly. So we're always going to come back to that E. And then... let's go down. Let's keep going down. So just mixing it up at the end. And I think that's important to maybe mix it up at the end because it tells the listener that that's the end of this musical sentence. We've got this little chat. And then perhaps we can get some other instrumentation to repeat the same pattern. It could be a rhythmical pattern. It could be a melodic pattern. So, yeah, I like that. Let's see where we can go with it. And then we can build and add to it. Another instrument that would be quite nice for this is maybe a harp. But I may add that in later. Right, let's do a little bit of a recording. So... Excellent. So that's come in there. And if we have a look at it, yeah, this is a favourite place of mine, is the piano roll. So the piano roll basically has the piano on the left-hand side here. And we can see all the notes that I've just played in or out of time. And you may have noticed I didn't come in straight at the very beginning here. So I'm going to have to move things back. So let me go ahead and select everything with Control and A or Command and A on a Mac and shift that all the way back. And we can see here that I'm fitting this all into, it's kind of a 4-bar, 8-bar pattern here. Flute. I think flute would work very well. Clarinet is very nice as well, especially if you want something a bit more mellow. A flute, not all flutes, obviously a wooden flute is very mellow. But the flute that I've got access to with the BBC Orchestra Pack is quite a harsh, bright flute, rather than harsh. Harsh is a bit harsh. I've just pressed Control and Q or Command and Q. That's going to quantize my notes. This is maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing. And the reason why I say it's maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing is your music can end up sounding very robotic and rigid if you quantize absolutely everything. I'm going to do it this evening. I'm quite cramped. I've got to be close to the microphone so you can hear me and close to the keyboard. I usually sit quite a distance back, so then my headphones don't fit. Excuses, I know. But for the moment, I will quantize things, and then I will play back and listen to what I've done. I don't want record on at the moment because I don't want to overdub, which is where you put things on top. And let's see how this sounded. Let's go back to the beginning. So I thought that was a bit harsh overall. So I'm going to, with everything highlighted, this bit at the bottom is the velocity, or how hard the keys are being hit, basically. And I'm just going to, with everything still selected, make it really much more mellow. And what we can do here is we could record it. Absolutely fine. We can hit the keys. I'm going to feel lazy. I'm going to select one of these other notes, and then I'll be able to mimic the length of it. And I think that's about right. And I'm going to come down here. Ooh, that's probably a little bit too low. Yeah, there. So we were playing A. We're just going to follow this line down. So A, G, F, and E. A, G, F, and E. And we may remove this from the piano in a bit and add it to a different instrument just to see how it sounds. Let's see how it sounds now. Ooh, do you hear that bass note there? That's, I don't know, it positions it so much better. And it's really soft. Is there a rogue note in there? Nah, I'll leave it as it is for now. Now you notice I stopped oscillating between the notes when I got to this last bit. I think that's nice. I think it tails off slightly before it can start up again. I'm going to come out of the piano roll for the moment, and I'm just going to loop my music. So hopefully it's going to loop around. I just need to test that first of all. I think I closed the bit I wanted, so let's go to here. Yes, it is going to loop around. That's fantastic. Hopefully, and do let me know if for some reason you can't hear me when I'm talking. As I say, it should duck. I can hear everything really loud. So if I start shouting, it's because it's loud up here. Okay. So that's quite nice. We've got this sort of starting point. And of course, one of the things we can do is we can subtract from it as well. So we've got this idea as our pattern. And I do like building things up in a pattern. So I'm going to right click here and rename it. I'm just going to call it piano. What to call it? Piano rocking? No. I'm just going to call it piano. We'll come back to it later with a better name. I hate naming things. It can be so confusing. Although if we end up with making multiple patterns, that can also be confusing if you haven't named things. So I can call this one Piano Soft, actually. I think I'm going to call it Piano Soft. And then we can make it maybe duplicate it. That's one thing we can do. So we can take a copy of what we just had. And now we're playing around with that. Oh, I've scrolled down too far. I'm not on the piano roll anymore. Daft me. Okay, let's go to Piano Soft 2. And then what we can do for this, with an idea of building it up and seeing how you can position things, we could remove all the top bits. Literally right-clicking, dragging, and deleting those. And then we get something that sounds like this. There is a clash. It does sound like there's a clash there. I think two of these notes are playing at the same time. When I quantized, I think it moved it too far. So this one, and then... So it should rock backwards and forwards. Let's try that instead. Yes, yeah, that sounds far, far better. And now we've got the bottom part of the piano. We can go back to our first one. And we could just copy it again and just have the top part. And the reason for doing this is it starts to separate out the low parts from the high parts. So if you're going to start using additional instrumentation, you can divvy up these parts amongst multiple instruments. And that can make the entire piece much fuller than it would have been otherwise. So once again, I'm going to clone this and I'm going to name it. I do need to name this because it's a bit rubbish otherwise. So we've got Piano Soft, which is everything, but I'm going to call this one Piano Soft. Can I rename here? I can. Brilliant. This one is Piano Soft 3 is going to be the upper part. and PianoSoft 2 is going to be the lower part. So if I just rename those upper and... Oh, I've clicked on the wrong one. Have I? I'm confused. Why am I confused? Did I right-click on the wrong thing? Yeah, I think I... Let's just go here, go soft. Okay, so this is going to be the lower one. I'll rename it here. Rename... Piano. Oh dear, typing stretched out. Excuses, I know. Piano. Yeah, excellent. So we've got piano lower, and I haven't actually removed the parts from the upper parts. So let's go to upper and remove the bass parts.